what is the end state, the goal for what we want this child to be? Do I want them to be a consumer? Oh, fine. Send them to public school. Do I want them to be a lemming to be able to look at a book and go and do the thing that the book tells me to do? Cool. Send them to public school. I don't have a use for that. Whether it's in the military, as a professional athlete, or now as an entrepreneur, there's no point where I look at that product and I say, that's what I need. That's the role that I need to have filled. I don't need somebody that is going to not build. I don't need somebody that's not going to innovate. I don't need somebody that only can consume, like that knows how to swipe. I don't need that. I need somebody that can beautifully critically think and imagine how to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. So if that's our end state, a critical thinker that is a free thinker that can innovate, build, and create, well, then now let's answer your question, is at what part should they start learning? The moment they come out of the womb, I promise they are learning. The amount that they understand, shame on us. Like, we're not even medically, scientifically in a position to understand how they are learning, but we just know that they are.
You're right. It's those first 6 years. I interviewed Bruce Lipton and people like that dive into epigenetics and everything. And then up until about 6 years old, that's when the subconscious gets programmed.
That person, that subconscious, that's kind of who their being is as an entity, right? Mm-hmm. Now at 6, they kind of know who they are. They're in their own skin. Their frontal lobe is not built. They cannot make like big decisions about, permanently life altering decisions they should not be making until, into their early 20s, mid 20s. Still at this point, they now are like, okay, I want to know things, like I want to learn how to read. I want to understand, why the boy with a little lightning bolt on his head lived, and what does it mean for the future of, this school? And that's where the magic of learning starts happening, is because they want to, it's intrinsic in them to want to explore and to want to go out and to want to challenge and to, can I jump off this thing? Is it going to hurt if I do? I don't know. Maybe that might be too tall.
How do you create a critical thinker?
I think the first thing that you have to do is show them how to make decisions. That's something that's taken from them in the school system. I want our learners to make all the decisions for themselves, and they have to learn the consequence of those decisions. They're making all the decisions, where they're going to sit, really? When they're going to eat, when they're going to drink, what tools they're going to use to help solve the problems. Is that formula going to work? There's a guide in there, and I'm using these words so people are tracking. Like, a guide is like a teacher, but under the Socratic approach, a guide isn't teaching, a guide is guiding. And those subtle differences matter. And so instead of saying, hey, Tommy, you did 2 + 4 wrong, you walk up and you're like, Tommy, there should always be a question. Tommy, is 2 + 4 5? And that little difference asks him to make then yet another decision, to look at his own question and be like, I think it is. Is it not? Well, if we have 2 apples and I take 2 more apples, how many apples do we have? Well, it's 4 apples. Well, Tommy, you wrote that there's 5 apples on there. Why did you write 5? And then yet again, I'm asking another question. He's having to critically think. So you're conditioning the mind to learn how to make lots of little decisions. The first thing that we talked about, if you're going to be able to make those big decisions, you have to be faithful in those small ones. And it's no different. So it's no different with the mind. You have to condition them to make millions of little decisions in the day, good decisions. Like, if you did not do your homework and now it's time to go outside and play, it was your choice not to do the thing when the time was for us to do it, and you chose to go and draw something instead. Well, we only have 45 minutes on the play gym in this 90-minute period. You missed that time. The consequence is you don't get to spend that. You still have to finish the volume of work.
Choices and consequences.
That's right. And those are taken from them. And it's heartbreaking.
How hard should we be on kids? All I know is when I play Monopoly or when I play a game with a kid, I just want to win. Like, I'm not going to be, I want to win, period. Like, I laugh about it. I'm like, no, I'm going to beat a 7-year-old at Monopoly. I don't care.
You should absolutely beat a 7-year-old at Monopoly. That is his time to be learning about how to play Monopoly. Guess what? If he wins every time, he will never get better at Monopoly. And then 20 years or 10 years from now when he's 17 and he goes as a senior to some camp and everybody's playing Monopoly better than him and he's super humiliated. And then he goes in like suck, starch, or shotgun because he can't win at everything because the whole entire time you've been getting him participation trophies and you've been letting him win at Monopoly and he thinks he's good at basketball because he's playing with a bunch of losers that don't know how to play basketball. No, you are setting him up for failure at everything in life because you keep handing him things to be successful at. Let him struggle and fail. It's the only way you can take the first time my dad saw a participation trophy, he like looked at it and laughed. He laughed at it.
Was it blue? Was it a blue ribbon?
I know it was like, it was gold as if I was like a gold medal. So Socrates, the Socratic method, right? We're talking way older than any form of this current experiment that we call public school. The highest learners ever were not educated in a public school. They sat in a circle.
We're still quoting them.
Yeah. So from Marcus Aurelius to Aristotle to Socrates, those are some of my favorites. A Socratic discussion is you pose a question, and that question, you take a position. Whether you believe that position or not, you take that position and then you defend. And there's some really clear guidelines about how we're going to, I'm going to be respectful of that person's opinion. I'm going to be respectful of the information that they're going to present. They're going to have time to present that information. I can rebuttal that information. So it's a real clear format for us to debate.
Yeah.
It's again, something that we've lost and forgotten how to do, which is how to talk to each other. Well, under the Socratic model, you and I could sit here and talk about something that we totally disagree on, and we could do it respectfully, and we have 4, 5, 6-year-olds doing it every single day.
I mean, I would call that in my world philosophizing. Like one of my favorite things to do is just philosophize or debate. Toe one end of the line and let's vet this out all the way. Let's like politely, respectfully, and curiously vet things out.
The reason that we wrote our republic in our Constitution and in our Bill of Rights and our formulation of government was to encourage discourse, right? You have an opinion, I have an opinion. We have these two separate parties. You and I sit down, we debate, and the better of the ideas rises to the top because of conflict, because of struggle, because of this discourse. And that doesn't exist right now because we're not able to talk to each other because everything is so divisive. That's not the way it's supposed to be. The way it's supposed to be is you have an opinion, I have an opinion. We sit down together. There might be things about my idea that's good. There might be some things about your idea that are good. Are these things mutually exclusive? Not necessarily. But if we don't sit down and talk to each other, the best idea might not be one of our separate ideas, but might be a new idea that's built off of both of our good ideas. But that could never happen unless we're able to sit down and have the Socratic conversation.
What's the history of red, blue, all the things that create so much divisiveness that nobody wants to listen to the other one? Cognitive dissonance around everything because of identity politics or whatever all the things are that people participate in because I don't know, maybe think they maybe think it makes their life, think they're being prideful in a way in their mind, but it really just is easier for them. You don't have to actually critically think then.
You circled the drain around the same thing where it's easier. And a lot of people just look for the easier thing. They're going to read the headline and they're not going to read, not even the article. They're not even going to look at they're going to do the research to understand the context around it. Could you pick up Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf and be like, hey, there's some good ideas in here. Yeah. Yeah, you could. But guess what? You should probably read the context around it to understand that this was a psychopathic murderer that then went on to genocide and start the Holocaust, right? But if you just picked up this thing and read it, it was like, I might even be able to cure some diseases by this genetic selection. This is fascinating. And now we are so clickbaity, we are so swipey, we are so headliney, we are so like divisively polarized and separated intentionally. This natural discourse never occurs where I don't get to walk a mile in your shoes. I don't get to learn about your ideas. I don't get to even try to be empathetic or sympathetic to want to learn because I'm so I'm existing in this echo chamber of my own ideas, whether, because I get to select all the people that I follow, and all those people are aligned with my beliefs. And I block and I silence and I mute all the people that I don't want to hear, or I restrict, or I don't even know all the terms for all the different social medias that do the same thing, which create an echo chamber for my own ideas. And in that echo chamber, my own beliefs then just get magnified and repeated back to me, that solidify my wrong ideas, because my idea never met against conflict or struggle of somebody else's idea.
Sure, the
And
algorithms lock you in and then sell you on shit. Definitely sell you on stuff.
That's all they want.
So what are the greatest barriers that someone needs to remove from their habits and routines and their life to this? I feel like this could be a blanket for everyone. I feel pretty open-minded, but I think whatever you tell me, I'm going to look at my life and see if I can clear, because the worst thing someone could do is think they're the most open-minded, they don't even need to try. But so what are those things what are the barriers of entry to being more capable of having real, not agreeable necessarily, conversations?
Yeah. I think first is you, and not you personally, but
remove me. I gotta go.
No. Like, look in the mirror and take that finger and point back into you. That first barrier usually is going to be your own biases. So how do you identify your own biases? It's find conversations and people that make you uncomfortable. I'm never going to do that in front of somebody else unless I familiarize myself with being uncomfortable. So I have to do things intentionally. I have to self-elect to do things that are uncomfortable. So maybe that might be cold water immersion. That might be sitting in the sauna. That might be a really, really hard workout. That might be learning something like
ballet. Did you want to do ballet or something?
Yes. No, I'm serious. You're 100% right. I did ballet. I learned. No, I did. The things that would blow your mind, the things that I chose to do. I have 3 daughters and 1 son. And if one of my daughters is like, "Dad, will you?" I absolutely, without a moment of hesitation, figure skating. Yes.
If you like this clip and you want to hear the whole episode, click at the bottom of your screen.